Hey everybody, it's Meso.
Hey James, hello.
It's Caravan of Garbage.
I hope so.
We watch a thing that's bad. I'll read a thing that's bad.
What is it today?
Have we ever listened to a thing that's bad?
I mean, each other.
Yeah, that's very true.
Got us.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming out in cinemas.
Correct.
So I was like, why not read a story about Ant-Man and his arch nemesis, who is, of course...
His neighbour with a rolled up newspaper.
Look, I'll level you. He doesn't really have much of a rogues gallery. In Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's going to be the Ghost, which is an Iron Man villain.
Sure. Hasn't he got an enemy that's a guy in a bear suit?
Boy, if only we were talking about that one.
Oh, no.
Well, this time we're talking about Tales to Astonish issue 38, which is from 1962.
Great.
It's a story entitled Ant-Man Betrayed by the Ants.
So his greatest enemy is ants.
No, it's a guy called Egghead.
So many misdirects. I
I
can't
know,
keep
right?
up already.
So Ant-Man debuted in Tales to Astonish 27.
Right.
It was called The Man in the Anthill, and it's Hank Pym, and he discovers shrinking technology, and then he shrinks down, and he's running from ants.
Does he have his helmet and all that?
Stan Lee was like, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
And he was like, what if a man was really small and he got chased by ants or bees? That was the original plotline, I believe. Anyway, it was a single issue. It was like 7 pages or 7 or 8 pages or something like that. And then he disappeared for like 5 issues, a few issues.
I guess because they don't know until the numbers come in if anything works.
Well, apparently the minimum print run back in the day was like 200,000 copies.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So he was quite well received. So they brought him back in his Tales to Astonish 35, and he's like, I'm back, and now I'm Ant-Man. I've got the costume or whatever. And then like 3 issues later, every criminal in New York is like, I'm scared. I'm so scared of Ant-Man. He's dismantled all the crime in New York. So they're like, man, we keep getting beaten by this Ant-Man. We got no smarts. And they're like, well, maybe brute force isn't the answer. We're going to get a real smart guy. Therein lies the genius, because they bring in a genius.
Right.
Egghead. I'll give you a breakdown of his powers.
I'm ready.
He's got a head shaped like an egg.
Gotcha.
And he comes up with plans. Are they good plans? They're not.
So he's a man.
He's just a man with a head shaped like an egg. Basically, in Washington, D.C., he's in some sort of like interview with various government officials, and then they're like, you're doing some crime. We suspect you of selling secrets and doing crimes. And he's like, nah, I ain't doing any crimes. And they're like, well, we can't prove it, but we'll fire you. And then... like, just the gangsters approach him and they're like, you want to do some crimes? And he's like, yeah, I'll do crimes. And they're like, you want to kill Ant-Man? And he's like, yeah,
I'll do
kill
murder.
Ant-Man. Yeah, for sure, right? What he does, it says, with cold scientific precision, the man called Egghead embarks upon his evil task. And he starts by watching a documentary about ants.
Well, you know, that's your base level knowledge you need.
And then he reads a book called All About Ants.
Oh.
You can see it's there to... And he's like... And since Ant-Man works with ants, he must have some method of communicating with them. And he says... Ants are unable to utter sounds and they don't use sign language. The only way they can communicate is by electronic signals to their antennae. First of all, absolutely not true. Ants communicate through sound. Ants communicate through touch. They communicate through body language.
Song.
Pheromones, all sorts. It's basic stuff, Egghead. Anyway, what he does is he builds a device. He builds a machine. It's the same as Ant-Man's helmet. He's like, I'm going to command these ants. I'm going to convince them to work for me instead of Ant-Man. Right?
Great, good stuff.
And he finds a big anthill. He goes out to a field. Well, I'm going to communicate to these ants in this anthill. They're going to communicate to every other ant in New York. And all of a sudden, they'll all be loyal to me.
Not a bad idea.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Anyway, he's like, hello, I'm your friend. I've come to free you from the slavery of Ant-Man. Listen to my instructions. Listen to these instructions that he's giving to ants that are the size of ants, that have brains smaller than an ant.
Sure.
Tell the Ant-Man that thieves are planning to steal the Wentworth necklace from the museum Thursday night.
Why?
That's a lot of information to convey to some of the dumbest creatures on the planet.
And even if they could convey that, don't you think Ant-Man would be like, where did this information come from?
The network of ants.
Yeah, but they can't perceive wealth or theft
or the words
diamonds.
Or the term
like
Wentworth necklace.
Yeah. All of these things.
There will be lookouts posted to warn them of the police. Only the Ant-Man can get past the lookouts and capture the thieves red-handed.
Pretty good stuff.
When the Ant-Man falls for the bait, lead him to the museum. Have him enter through an open window where I shall be waiting for him. Waiting with flypaper.
Oh, very good.
Right.
Couldn't he just grow big and then be unstuck from the flypaper?
Not if Egghead's plan is correct.
Okay.
It's not.
Oh.
It's a bad plan. Anyway, he's like, remember, betray the Ant-Man and I will free you from his domination. Then you will be his masters and he will serve you the rest of his days. You shall give the orders.
Okay,
to
very
the Ant-Man.
good.
That's pretty good, right?
To this one guy.
Yeah, right?
Who cares? Why would they even want that? He
Yeah, I don't know,
he
they
could
said-
bring them fruit, I guess.
I guess, but they could probably get their own fruit.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, he goes back to the Egghead goes back to the gangster and he's like, flypaper. And
Yep.
they're like, you're a genius.
This guy. I'm glad we got him in.
And they're going to get that's the thing, they're going to get the diamonds and they're going to get Ant-Man, trap him in flypaper. Then Ant-Man, he's received the information
Right.
from the ants about the Wentworth diamonds. He comes in the open window and then Egghead hits him with a bellows. He hits him with a puff of air from the bellows.
nice.
His one weakness, a puff of air.
Oh, man. I haven't heard the word bellows.
Right? Since 1962?
Correct.
Well, you're in luck. Then he gets flung into a box lined with flypaper.
Nice.
He's trapped, as you can see.
Yeah.
He's right. He's like, you've been betrayed, Ant-Man. Betrayed into my trap full of flypaper.
Yeah, that's good.
First of all, you are correct. He could just...
He'd tear that box.
He's got... They
asunder.
even say it in this issue. Even when he's small, he has the strength of a normal man.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ever have flypaper stuck on your hands, you know what you do? You just take it off.
Yeah.
You just take it off and you rip it.
It's not wax, is it?
No,
it's like
exactly.
masking tape.
But then Egghead's like, oh my god, you're not trapped on the flypaper. How did you do that? And he's like, I'll tell you later, you dumb prick. Here we go. And then he activates some springs in his boots. Spoing.
Does he need
Spoing.
springs in his boots, though?
No, he can
Can't
just leap
jump
like a normal
great
man.
heights?
Because he's got the powers of a normal man as is established.
Okay.
In the comic book itself. Anyway, he springs out of the box. They try to catch him. He ropes one of them up. He gives him the old flip-em-a-doo. He bloody...
That's right, he had a lasso kind of thing at one point, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was a weapon of
It's
his.
unbreakable nylon.
Oh.
The technology of the 1960s.
Very good.
Then they're like, we're going to bloody get this Ant-Man. But of course, the ants have brought in a giant man-sized sheet of flypaper, which they then fling over the villains. The remaining gangsters attempt to escape the museum. They find their tires have been slashed. Then the cops arrive and they're like, how'd you do it, Ant-Man?
I've got a lot of questions also.
Yep, ready, go ahead.
So, okay, let me just kind of puzzle this out.
Yes.
He was probably told by the ants this full story. They went, yeah, a guy with an egg-shaped head came to our anthill and told us these really specific details about a heist, and then we just told you that.
Correct.
Okay, good.
See, what you need to know is the ants are like Ant-Man's wife.
Right,
Like, if
okay.
they're like a
hits
married
them.
couple. Correct. They're like a married couple. If you're like, hey, I'm going to tell you the secret, don't tell your wife.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to tell your wife.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
come
don't
on.
you think he would have gone, where did you get this information from?
Yeah, here's what Ant-Man knows that Egghead never knew.
Right.
He misunderstood the psychology of ants. He didn't know that the ants do not consider themselves slaves. They regard themselves as my friends and my partners in the war against crime.
You dummy egghead.
Yeah.
How could you not know that they were his partners in the war on
How could
crime?
you know that ants, despite being some of the tiniest, dumbest creatures in the world, are fully aware of the concept of crime and they are against crime? Egghead tried to appeal to their sense of greed, of vanity, but insects have no such emotions. So they have no concept of greed or vanity, but
Right.
they do have a concept of justice.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Pretty good, right?
I think these books and documentary series that he watched were incorrect.
Yes.
It seems like they were way off.
Before he gets there, he takes a little bath in an oily chemical, so he won't stick to the
Ah,
flypaper.
very good.
Weirdly, though, he's not wearing his costume when he's doing that.
Wait,
he's just
how
a
does he
naked man in a bowl of oil. A tiny naked man in a bowl of oil. Then he slashes the gangsters' tires.
Sure.
Then he steals the keys out of their ignition.
Good stuff. Why did they leave them
Then
in
all
there?
the ants sleep with their wives, I assume.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway.
I don't like that part of the story so much.
Yeah, well,
The rest of it, so great.
Yeah, I mean, they're smooth. They're smooth operators.
I guess
the
they
ants.
are.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the only thing that went wrong is Egghead escapes, of course. So he's a slippery character.
Bet he
He's
is.
got the cunning and instincts of an egg. So anyway, the final 3 panels is just Egghead. He's disheveled and he's got some 5 o'clock shadow, as all defeated eggs do. And he's like, they are being defeated by ants. And a couple of other flophouse denizens are like, who's this idiot? Now he's just talking about ants. And they're like, yeah, probably some bum without a brain in his head. Which is intended to be ironic because he's supposed to be a genius, but he really is a bum without a brain in his head. When you think about it.
He was before this comic,
Yep.
and he continued to be at the end.
Anyway, Egghead, is Ant-Man's most notorious recurring villain.
That's kind of delightful.
Isn't
It's
it
kind of a
though?
little bit of a bloody throwback. I didn't hate it. It's a bit of a fun, dumb time.
Let me tell you why I hated it.
I guess that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much though, Mason. Every week we do a Caravan of Garbage. Sometimes it's a comic, sometimes it's a movie or a TV show, sometimes it's a video game. If you've got a suggestion, please leave it below.
Movie.
We also have a podcast called The Weekly Flavour.
No, wait, a video game.
Where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. And there's videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Don't forget to tell all your friends how great this video was.
All my friends?
Yes.
I don't really have that many friends.
You can tell me.
You're right here.
You can still tell me.
Are you saying you're unconvinced by the actual thing of the episode?
Let's just see how it turns out, alright?
All right.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
I'll grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.